Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, the true God of heaven and earth, and Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, the only begotten Son of the true God. Also want to give double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the upcoming elders that rule well and that teach well of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings unto the elect, the house of David, and the 144,000 elect men, whoever you may be. The White House posted a blog titled Winning the 6G Race. And in this official blog from the White House, it reads in section 1 concerning 6G, it says, the next generation of mobile communications network, 6G, will be foundational to the national security, foreign policy, and economic prosperity of the United States. This technology will play a pivotal role in the development and adoption of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and implantable technologies. So Edom is telling you out of his own mouth of the direction society is heading towards, where man will be merged with technology, where man will be ruled by a digital AI system, as is prophesied in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16, which reads, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. The mark is transliterated from the Greek, which is charagma. The Greek word charagma, which is a compound word. And in this word, you'll find stigma, which means to cut, to incise, to mark, which is a cutting of a surface or of skin. Now, another Greek word that's part of the compound word charagma is the word grapho, which goes into a recording, something that contains a record or a document. Basically, this mark is implantable technology, an object which will be implanted in the flesh, which will hold different forms of information, records, such as one's money, one's income, currency, and other forms of essential information that one need to have in order to function in this society. So the M-A-R-K, the mark, is a physical thing that involves, or the receiving of it involves your flesh being abused, being cut open, whether it be by way of a needle, a particular needle that is used to implant something in the body. Verse 17, which, let me not jump too ahead. Let's read it again, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So people of all, states of life will receive this thing. Basically, the majority of society. And they will receive it in their hand or their head. Now, be not confused on whether, be not confused on it's saying, the right hand. It doesn't matter where you get it ultimately. Whether you get it on the left hand, the right hand, your leg, or whatever. It's ultimately a deed that's going to seal your fate ultimately. Ain't no repenting from it. Ain't no turning from it. Ain't no excuse. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. So this implantable technology will be a way of transaction. A way how businesses deal their products and merchandise or their services. A way how people will be able to buy such things. This will also cover the ability to travel, and possibly even the access to medication, medical assistance, whatever. This is going to affect people in all areas of life. And this is a society, a world that Esau is currently creating. And out of his own mouth, he's telling you what he's finna do. Now, concerning 6G, there's a lot of, which that is an instrument of his pride ultimately. An instrument of his pride. An instrument of his haughtiness, of his God complex. An instrument of his wickedness. Now, I asked AI, it's ironic, I asked AI, but, you could use, AI if you use it the right way, these people are here, they're following it, they're coming to the point of worshiping AI, you look at these people. But anyways, I asked AI from a conspiracy standpoint, speak on 6G. And this is what AI said. From a conspiracy theorist perspective, 6G isn't just the next step in faster internet. It's the culmination of a decades-long plan to achieve total control over humanity through invisible waves penetrating every aspect of our life. And yeah, you think about Edom, the families of Edom throughout the ages, to the Greek Empire, to the Roman Empire, to now. Esau have never reached this point of strength, of power, and of ability. This is the highest point that he will ever reach. Which some will say is a stage of godhood. Because when you go into this technology, this society that Esau is going to build, he will be able to observe, control on a whole nother level. What they show in these Hollywood movies. Yeah, but what they show in these Hollywood movies, where Esau is basically, to a degree, on a human level, omniscient, being able to see everything, all aspects of a person's life, and control and threaten. Basically he's going to be a master of people's souls, and this is a stage of power that he is reaching, but there's a boundary. But anyways, let's continue reading these words. It says, which I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to get specific points. So it says this: why the rush to 6G by 2030? And we know that it's possibly going to come sooner than that. But anyways, it says because with terahertz, they can integrate sensing into communication, turning your phone, smart devices, and even the air around you into a radar network that maps your body movements, biometrics, and brain activity in real time. It says combine that with AI and the Internet of Bodies, and you've got neural interfaces without needing, it says without needing CHI, without needing chips, basically. I don't know what exactly that's referring to, because you got implantable micro C-hips, you got other forms of chips. But we know that there's going to be implantable micro C-hips, implantable technologies, basically, that's going to come and be combined with this whole system, this policy. So I want to read this part. It says surveillance becomes omnipresence or omnipresent. Holographic telepresence means they're not just watching you, they're projecting into your space. Drone swarms, smart cities, and non-terrestrial networks. Satellites blinking the planet, ensure no escape, even in remote areas. So just giving you an idea of the type of power and authority and control that he is, working towards. Which reminds me of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13, which is concerning Lucifer, which there is a misconception of what Lucifer or who Lucifer is. Lucifer in the Bible is referring to a people. The people of Edom, particularly the ruling class of Edom, who have in all ages been involved in witchcraft, sorcery, dark, wisdom and knowledge, and who have been, tapped into, hidden, hidden knowledge. Because when you go into that word Lucifer, it means morning star or a light bringer. Which that's, which what do they call themselves? Or what do the world call them? They call them the Illuminati, which means to be illuminated. basically to be enlightened. So they are the Lucifer that the Bible speak of. You think about the ruling class of the Roman Empire have always used witchcraft, sorcery, psychological manipulation, have always abused knowledge over the people. Which light also not only um, means or symbolically mean knowledge, it also means power as well. So this is a people who hold power over the majority, and who's tapped in with the knowledge. But let's continue reading Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven? Matter of fact, verse 13 is the point. It says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. And yeah, this is the pride of his heart, to reach a state of power and position that he have never reached before, that no man have ever reached before. It says, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, a throne symbolizing power and authority. It says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And that's what he did with, you think about the land Israel, he took it. 70 AD, the Roman Empire besieged Jerusalem. Verse 14, it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So he wants to be like the Most High, omniscient, omnipresence, and omnipotent. And that's exactly what he's trying to do in his own twisted and limited way via this form of technology. Verse 15, it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And this is the fate of Edom. This is his end, utter destruction. I'm going to close off on that. We'll let this lesson edify. I want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.